You deserve to be happy.
Time heals all wounds.
Helpful?
Harmful.
Just because it's trending doesn't make it true. This season, we will hold up these trite sayings alongside truth.
We are your hosts, Susan Tyner
and Karen Hodge. You're listening to the Encourage Podcast. Welcome back, friends, to the Encourage Podcast. And I hope that if you're listening out there, you're happy today. Are you happy, Susan?
I am happy on the outside. I'm just kidding. No, I'm happy because we're doing this together. Of course I'm happy.
Oh, the elusiveness of happiness. Yeah. And the world is constantly telling everyone, you deserve to be happy is kind of what we talked about last week. And and then we think about the people in our life, the people that, that we love, we just want them to be happy.
Of course. We want everything to be like it was supposed to be, where there was no harm, there was no hurt. It was happy.
That's right. Well, yeah, whether we're talking about the Cinderella happily ever after or actually the garden where everything was perfect. And, but there's a deep longing in our soul to be happy. And I think happiness, I don't know, I've been thinking about happiness a little bit lately. Happiness can be, it just kind of depends on probably the way you think about life. It could be objective, like, hey, everything is orderly. It's going well. On the outside, I look successful and happy. Or it could just be, hey, I'm living the good life. It could be more subjective, like I enjoy it. I'm having fun. It's the good life. And so, but we want that for other people because when we feel the of the fall, we just want to slap a Band-Aid on it like we've been talking about and just kind of fix it. And that's what these little plastic statements sometimes do. They try to slap that Band-Aid on it because I just want you to be happy, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And I know that we, not all of our audience, of course, are mamas or parents or even grandparents. There are many singles, I hope, listen to this. But I do think that this really, really pops for women who have people like children or teenagers or young adults, and you just want them to be happy. And if you're like me, you're only as happy as your least happy child, right? And so it's in my best interest of my happiness for y'all all to be happy. And if you're not, please don't tell me.
Yeah, just get happy. Everybody get happy in the middle.
Get with it. That's right. Just get it together, folks, and be happy.
And so when we talk about that, just get with it and be happy. I mean, kind of, what are the things that we're living maybe in denial about, or just like we're just trying to gloss over? Like it's the proverbial, let's just sweep it under the rug so everybody be happy. I mean, has anybody ever said this to you, or have you ever said it to anybody else?
Oh, yeah. I'm sure I've said it to my children because you don't know what to say. I think there is, like I was thinking, where did this kind of come from? What's a kernel of this being a good thing to say? And I think it is I think what we're maybe trying to say, and this is probably very generous, is say it's an adult child or a best friend or somebody that's making a decision. If the decision is, should I wear the pantsuit or the dress to the interview? Of course, I'm going to say, well, what makes you happy? Like, what makes you feel comfortable? Like that, this kind of goes back to I want you to have the decision. Like you can make this decision. I want you. So it's like you're pushing someone to consider which one makes you happy, the pantsuit or the dress. But a lot of times this is not an outfit decision. It's, I want to move in with my boyfriend, or I really want to just quit this job. I don't like how I feel and I'll find a job later. Or it's an uncomfortableness that we sit with, whether with a friend or a child or a sibling. And I'm not going to tell them that that's a sin to move in with your boyfriend. That's awkward. And Or I don't want them to be miserable. If you're miserable in that job, I just want you to be happy. But no one considers the how to be happy. It also depends, I think, on your definition of happy. I know there are a lot of people who are walking in grief who have a joy that I would be jealous of. I think we determine happiness looks like a big house, a big paycheck, a nice car, a pretty figure, the very best at a Stitch Fix lately, whatever it is. Like that is what we see as that's a sign of happiness when we all know that's not true. I don't know, Karen, am I making any sense?
Well, yeah, because I think that happiness by the world standards is never attainable because that bar is always moving, right? Like all those categories you just listed. I mean, go to bed, wake up, it's all different the next day.
Yep.
So it's something that we will chase after. We'll chase after happiness. Whereas, especially if it's rooted in circumstances. And so when we say to somebody, I just want you to be happy, or whatever makes you happy. And I think that statement even gets more to the root of what might be going on in the motivations of why we do what we do and why we want people to maybe achieve that kind of sense of well-being. But that puts me as the determiner of what happiness is versus biblically speaking, right? And so we want to think biblically about these things. I think there is, it's like kind of like, what is the highest aim in life? Is it to be happy and never have any problems? I mean, I don't think that's the world that we live in, is it?
Well, if that is, then you're going to be like stuck all your life because it's not going to work out for you that way. And that's just if you're just a human. If you're a believer, it's a different ballgame because at least when you have the hard things and the things that just about kill you, there's that Romans 8:28, and you're just in the back of your mind of, I do have a God who rules and who loves me. And I don't see how this is going to work out for my good, but I at least know he does. And so I got to trust and wait. And there's at least a foundation in the hard. There's at least a place to put your feet in the storm. Happy is like a marshmallow. And as soon as it melts in your mouth, it's done. And it tastes so good. It looks so fluffy and white and pure and easy. And like it has only 5 calories. And, it's just fluff. And the world is really good at dressing up fluff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so whether we're chasing, as we start to break this down, whether we're chasing the happiness, like your happiness is determined by how happy your child is, or if you're saying, I just need you to be happy with me. And so I am going to do whatever I can to keep you happy. So whether it's the fear of man side of the equation, or it's the trying to, curate a life for our children that looks happy on the outside without sometimes getting at the root of what's going on, like what could be causing, sorrow or suffering or frustration or whatever's going on in their life. It seems so much easier in the moment just to throw the rug over it or to gloss over it. Or is that just that's the GPS coordinates where I live, where I'm trying to make other people happy, or the people that are also in my life, I just need them to be happy because I'm so busy trying to make other people happy. I just want to be happy.
I know. Yeah. And then you like, that's a whole different point, Karen, you're making that I'm just like going, oh man, I may not say, I just want you to be happy, but I sure act like I need to make you happy to make my life easier. Like I kill myself to make sure everybody has what they want to eat, or like I'm killing myself to do like all these things. And there's a line between giving yourself to love others and then managing their happiness and not letting them experience disappointment, not letting them experience sadness, not letting them not get what they want for Christmas. Like you would think that Santa Claus is the one big fix in the world. when you see me at December. Like if they want it, I want to get it, or don't they need that? And I can't afford to do that. And yet I feel like there's this thing I need to provide, the magic of you're happy. You got the surprise you needed. You had that Cinderella Christmas. That is just Christmas. But in life, I think I may not even say this, but I'm operating that way. And so, yeah. So if I'm trying to make people happy, one, no one can. Like you don't have that power. But also, I think I'm doing it so I'll be happy. It's all a spinning wheel.
It is a spinning wheel. I tell you what, it is like a tangled web that we do weave.
Yes.
Whether we're trying to manufacture happiness for other people or manipulate other people into happiness.
Yes.
So that we can feel like somehow for just a moment, everybody's happy. Now, what happens though, and this is where we realize where, everything goes sideways, is when, we've worked really hard and we've, whether we've manufactured or we've manipulated it into being, and then somebody makes a sideways comment or they don't thank you, or you kind of see the look on their face when they open up the present that you were like, I spent a little too much for, or whatever.
Yeah.
That your happiness is rooted in other people.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, or their affirmation, their applause, or their, the praise that they give you. I mean, how twisted is that?
Yeah. And I got to say, I'm bringing in a lot of family dynamic examples, but that can happen in the workplace. That can happen in the dorm. That can happen in the church a lot, where you're like, I am killing myself, or I'm trying to meet expectations people have of me or that I have of myself. And if you go home and you're weary and dragging and you feel unthanked and all that, well, somewhere along the line, you got off the track of glorifying God and enjoying Him forever.
Right. Well, yeah. And it's so true. We do evaluate in the church. Somebody says, well, was that successful? Like, was that event successful, or the class? Did somebody, and then the determiner, the gold standard is, were women happy? Well, you try to chase making women happy. We're never going to get to the end of that train track until the end of heaven. And I truly believe, I often say, I truly believe the Lord gave me this job to seek to kill the idol of people pleasing Him. Because, I mean, the example I often give is, feedback that I'll get about a conference. There was not enough water or coffee. And then the next person said there weren't enough bathrooms. So it's like everybody wants to drink, but then there's not enough bathrooms in the building. And then I'm left feeling like, the women weren't happy.
Oh, yeah.
At the event.
And then why do I then, if I'm you, go, and it's my fault there are not enough bathrooms?
That's right. I'm responsible for the fact that the hotel doesn't have as many bathrooms. Yeah. Or that somehow that the water carafe got emptied in the middle of an event. Yeah.
Yeah. Don't even get me started on stuff like that. Or this is what I love about women is that they might not even say it straight like that, but they may go, oh, this is such a great pasta salad. I'll have a really good one. And they just you're like, or like one of the times I've spoken, somebody has said, as I was listening to you and my pride is starting to, I'm about to get a compliment that I can just kind of breathe on, veg on all the way back home. And it's like, and I just kept on thinking about all the things I would have said. I'm like, what? I just was like, oh my goodness. I was like, not only am I not having a compliment, but she basically said I could have done it better. And you're just like, at that point, you're just laughing. Like, how do we as women make those digs? And I don't know. So there's no being happy. There's no being happy. And if you're not happy, it's somebody else's fault. Because nobody wants to say that to God. God, there are not enough bathrooms here. God, there's too much coffee.
Well, and what you've just illustrated is the roller coaster ride of riding on the ephemeral nature of happiness.
That's right.
You're right. I mean, in other words, we rise and we fall with the happiness of other people in our life versus the constant, and this is where we can pivot to thinking biblically about this idea, I just want you to be happy, is that joy that is spirit empowered, it's a fruit of the Spirit, can only be found in Christ.
Yeah.
It's in Christ. It always says in Christ or in Him in any of the verses that talk about joy. In other words, I'm looking everywhere else. That's why I'm not happy.
Oh yeah. And this is what is so like ironic. And why, like, the joy that is what you just named, usually, especially if it's in Christ, comes through suffering. Mm. Suffering does not look like a happy moment. So, for instance, if my friend is having to decide whether to move in with her boyfriend and be happy or say no and they may break up, if I say just be happy, choose the happy path, the easy path, I am actually saying don't go on the path that will really give you joy. You're choosing the marshmallow instead of the protein. And so in a way, that's what's so weird is we, out of love and out of wanting to help someone to feel better, it's like we're actually doing the opposite. It's like we're cutting them off. We're truncating their ability or opportunity for true knowing Jesus, knowing His strength, being right next, knowing Jesus' voice because you've been with Him so much because you've been unhappy. Unhappy usually makes me go to Jesus. And so if I'm protecting and snow plowing around people, saying just be happy and let me help with that, I'll do that for you. I mean, that could do anything from, oh, honey, I'll do your project for you because you're so tired and it is 8th grade, to, oh, I will help you move in and do something stupid that will cause you pain. Like we are missing the equation for joy. We are messing up and actually robbing our friends, sisters, and children.
Wow. That makes me question some of the commitments I've just made this week. I'm going to pull over a snowplow person in people's life.
Oh my goodness!
I digress. But you are so right in the passages. So, like when we see in Philippians 4, rejoice in the Lord always. Again, I say rejoice, and then he goes into I've learned the secret of being content. And plenty and want, and the tide of joy there in the book of Philippians, or Jesus is on his way to the cross in the upper room discourse, and he keeps saying, if you abide in me and my words abide in you, you will have joy and joy to the full. So there's a clinging to Christ, and there's the word-based kind of aspect to this, but it's always connected to Christ. And then Jesus goes on after that, and then he talks about in this world you will have troubles. And so, but take heart, I've overcome the world. I mean, so, but there's a joy that will sustain us in the highest highs and the lows. Joy doesn't have to ride the roller coaster.
No, joy keeps you out of the motion sickness. You may feel it on your ride, but you're not throwing up maybe as much because you have Jesus, and there's a point to your suffering. It's not a waste. It is. He puts all those little tears that you think no one sees in a bottle with your name on it. Like, it's precious, your unhappiness to him, your suffering to him. And he would never do that if it wasn't going to be worth the joy that is set before us, like it was with Jesus. I think about Hannah when she sang her song. So she's singing a song when she drops off the baby she begged God for. Somehow her happiness looked like it was all about having a baby. It was all about having a son. It was about the shame that would remove from her life. And she wanted a baby. And God answered that prayer. So if I'm dropping off something that made me so happy, and think about her friends, I would have come up with so many excuses not to take Samuel back to Eli's house with those 2 corrupt sons he had, Hophni and Phinehas, and it was a mess there. I would have been like, that's like, oh, I can't send my child there. I mean, I know I vowed him to God, but I can't do that. And guess what? They would have said their version of, I just want you to be happy, Hannah. I just want you to be happy. And then it would have been all the excuses. I could have talked myself out of a million times on the way here.
Because you waited so long.
Deserved it. And then, yeah, all that stuff. God wouldn't have given the baby if he wanted you to give him back. Like, we start getting in the mind of God. I digress. But you cannot, we can fake a lot of things as women, but you cannot fake singing praise to God as you leave your 3-year-old. You can obey, you can do the right thing with his grace, but it takes a whole level of miraculous joy to sing that song as you're about to say goodbye. And that, if a woman dropping off a 3-year-old at that place and going home to an empty bedroom can do that kind of joy, then it is a miracle that only Jesus can give. So I don't know how you can imagine being happy if you break up. I don't know how you can imagine being happy if you choose the harder road. And you may not be happy, but you will have eternal joy because that path takes you to Christ and he's on it with you.
Yeah. And I think that when in fact, last episode, we were talking about like just looking at the people who are a few steps ahead of us. Yeah. And when I think about people who exude the most amount of joy, they're often the people who have suffered the most.
Yeah.
They're kind of limping all the way home. And yet as I follow them, as they follow Christ, I see this deep abiding joy that happens, which makes me think that at least in my life, if happiness is like the roller coaster, then joy is more like the long pathway home, where along the way, as you said, there's suffering, and he is working in us, sanctifying us, making us holy so that we will be happy in him. So if happiness in him is truly joy, but holiness is the pathway. In other words, we become more and more like Christ along the way, whether it's suffering and, or trials or, disappointments and things like that. That endurance that the Spirit works in us produces the joy that will abide all the way to the finish. It's joy all the way to the finish line. But it's a process. And so it's a journey to understand the length and the breadth and the height and the depth of this joy that comes from only abiding in Christ. I'm not sure if I'm making sense, but it's not, in other words, happiness, we think we can just get by opening a present. It's like a popcorn kind of like, that's that ephemeral, like it's gone, like the marshmallow concept that you're talking about. But joy is the thing that endures, but it's a process by which we acquire in our life as we cling to Christ.
Yeah. And it's something, that experience nobody can give you. You have to learn it. You have to experience it for yourself. And I just have this memory pop into mind of one of the just most remarkable women I've ever known, Molly Dent from Yazoo City. And this is a woman who used to babysit me. And she gave me Coca-Cola in a bottle. So if that says how happy I was, and she'd warm it up. I do not understand how we got that started. But, it was a long time ago in the early 70s. So lots was happening that probably wouldn't happen today. But anyway, she was, family friend, babysitter, married, 3 children, went through a divorce. And then her 15-year-old daughter had a wreck going to church one morning. And then her other son, years later, also had a 1-car accident. And she did floral things. And so I did that too some. And we didn't live in the same place, but sometimes we'd overlap on a job, or I couldn't do something and she did it for me, kind of stuff. But oh man, I remember she loved strawberries. So I think of her because her daughter loves strawberries. And then I remember one time she said to me, and I think I was at the strawberry aisle, I must have been on the phone, so it all has to do with the strawberry image. But she just said, once you lose 2 kids, things don't upset you anymore. And I was like, wow, that is some change. And I just think about how a lot of us are just running around and we are so upset that, the grocery store didn't have our kind of bread, or like they didn't have enough bathrooms or whatever. And when you go through hardship like that, you see the world better. You just see it. And it's a sight that you get from experience. And she had faith in God, and and she ended up having cancer and dying. Like, her story is a hard one. And she was such a witness of joy in the hard. And I know she's happy she chose the way she did.
Joy, well, it sounds like in your friend's life and the woman that I'm thinking of, it just brings focus. It brings perspective. So that when you live in light of eternity, in that the future joy that we'll experience, that we're promised, that the light and momentary afflictions, they actually feel light. They feel like, oh, it's just a grain of sand compared to the weight of glory. So you have that perspective, but that, again, it's only the Spirit can give you that kind of perspective. Yeah. But the joy is not only is it in Christ and what He is doing now, but what He has accomplished for us in the future. And that we are holding hope for that. And we are holding the joy for that. And so, and so it's a corrective in our life. It is something that it's a witness, like you said, in the world for Jesus Christ, because people look at us and they say, listen, I look at your life. It looks like, I don't want to throw Charlie Brown under the bus, but it looks like a Charlie Brown life. And you're, and so you deserve, like all the other things we said, you deserve to be mad or to be sad or to treat yourself or whatever. And I think somebody who has this deep abiding joy said, oh, but it's all grace. It's all the kindness of the Lord, And so it just really, it just changes the glasses that we wear as we look at life. Now, it's so easy to get distracted. So as we close this one out, like, what would it look like for us to take a few steps in clinging to Christ, abiding, remaining, instead of that wanting to separate and do our own thing and be independent? Like, we're actually interdependent with Christ, that He would not only give us joy, but that our joy would be full to overflowing, like that. It would just like trickle out and like lap over onto other people, like exactly what you were saying about your friend. What do you think, Susan?
I mean, that's why it's a miracle. That's why I can't do it. That's why it's not of this world. It's crazy. It's like singing a worship song when you're dropping off your baby. I have no explanation for that kind of joy, except it must be from God. And it is. He's promised us a peace that passes understanding. This is like a joy that passes understanding. So I guess I have to discern and look at my heart when I'm wanting to erase pain from my life or someone else's life. I've got to go, would God erase it? And it's like this. I mean, there are a few godly people that look at their babies when they're born and say, I want you to be a missionary to the slums of the world. I want you to have no food and you'll have the crown of glory. A very few parents say that in the hospital. Most of them go, I want you to marry the right person. I want you to have this career. Oh, you look like this. Maybe you'll be, whatever. Like, it's all worldly goals for happiness and joy. And so I need to look at, how do I define that? If it do I want my child to make little money, but if it's in ministry, see that as a good thing? Do I want to look at a suffering situation, say in a marriage or a physical or would I take the opportunity for miraculous joy away? Because it doesn't match what the world says is happy. So, yeah, you can be very unhappy and have this miraculous joy. And that's why it can't be taken away from you, because it never was given to you by anybody but Jesus, and He will not take it away from you.
Yeah, I think that's so good and so encouraging. I think for me this week, if I believed all these things were true, that I would stop chasing the elusiveness of happiness. I would get off the roller coaster, so to speak, and I would stop trying and start trusting that the Lord is the one who can provide this deep, abiding joy. I would not look to others to approve of me in a way that would keep me happy, keep them happy, and stop trying to manufacture the happiness of my children and their lives. And I would see the approval of God upon my life. I mean, in other words, he's happy in me because he sees his son, Jesus Christ, not because of anything I do or I don't do, or whether something went right or something went wrong. It's not determinate by circumstances. It's in him. And so as we rest in him, we cling to him, we abide in him, we remain in him, even though our hearts are stubborn and want to separate and do our own thing. If we truly want joy, that joy to the full that overflows and is contagious and is creates a life-giving culture wherever it is, then we will just stop striving. That's what it would look like in my life.
And then to bounce off last week, then we wouldn't have to have me time so much.
We might have a little more Jesus time than me time. Exactly.
We may not be as bad off if we just stop worrying and striving and making everybody happy around us.
So if somebody says, I just want you to be happy this week, I hope you take a deep breath. You don't feel like you have to give necessarily a response to that, but that you can just smile at the joy that you have in Jesus. Yeah. Well, we hope you have a joy-filled week. We'll see you next Tuesday, our final episode in this series on the Encourage Podcast.
See ya.
Thanks for listening to the Encourage Podcast, where we have one aim: to bring the hope of the gospel to the hearts of women. We've planned this year full of exciting connections, and we don't want you to miss a single one. So stay connected with us on our website, women.pcacdm.org. Consider sharing this episode with a friend and keep the conversation going. Or even better, giving to CDM so we can make this podcast available to women all over the world. The Encourage Podcast is a production of CDM, the discipleship ministry of the PCA.